We're back with Brighter Mind author Dr. Kyl Smith and your big pile of stuff. What is this?
Well, this is most, not all, but most of the research behind the Brighter Mind book. I mean, when we talk about there's over 1,400 peer-reviewed medical science journal articles, here most of them are.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time kidding you about stuff, but this really is crazy. Is this really the actual stuff, or did you stop by an office supply store and...
You know good and well it's this stuff. As a matter of fact, my wife will vouch that I am a complete science geek.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. It's been my passion for over the last decade, and all of it's been compiled in the Brighter Mind book. I literally went through thousands and thousands of research papers, peer-reviewed medical, nutritional, scientific journal articles to cull out the very best of the best. And what made it is basically 1,400 good scientific articles that tell us we can improve focus, concentration, mood, and memory across all age groups. You just have to know what to do. But the key is it's referenced in the medical and scientific research literature.
Well, I think you've proven that. I think that's pretty great. And I know, as an insider, that you're the only doctor to ever receive an approved FDA health claim in the area of cognitive function, which is brain function. That's in the whole history of the Food and Drug Administration. What does that mean to our viewers?
It's true. Well, quite frankly, it means a lot. Unfortunately, the news media tells us that there's little science behind nutrients. In many cases, that's absolutely not true. That's false. For example, phosphatidylserine, there are over 3,000, count them, 3,000 published papers behind phosphatidylserine alone. So medical science has a good idea of what it does for brain function, but the key is we called out the top 280 scientific references when we applied for the health claim through the FDA, and ultimately they reviewed the science and landed on an approved health claim for phosphatidylserine. Now, what is phosphatidylserine? I imagine our viewers are wondering. This is a very important ingredient for brain function. Now, in your practice and across the country, as people become 50, 60, what do they say starts slipping?
Where they leave stuff.
Memory.
Memory,
Well,
yeah.
what we know from phosphatidylserine is when we administer this from the right source in the right amount over the right period of time, which is about 12 weeks, not too long, we can see significant improvements in mental function in people. Great example. Medical science tells us as we age, we go through what they call cognitive decline or age-associated memory impairment. What that means is a 50-year-old's brain doesn't work as good as when you're 40. A 60-year-old's brain doesn't typically work as good as when they're 50, etc., right?
Sure.
When you administer phosphatidylserine for just 12 weeks in the right amount, you can take a 60-year-old's brain and it'll start to work like they're 50 again. Now, as I travel across the country, especially in live lectures, I ask, if you're 60 years of age, raise your hand if in 12 weeks you'd like to wake up and your brain works like you're 50 again. And of course, the audience raises their hands. This is an easy one. But the key is most people don't even know about the power of this one ingredient and what it can do to transform their mental function. Another great example. If I were to take you, or not you, but let's say someone from our audience, and I was to introduce them to, let's say, 20 brand new people and ask them to remember faces and names immediately, how do you think most people do?
Horribly.
Most people don't even want to engage in that activity. With phosphatidylserine, we know that within 12 weeks, those people who take phosphatidylserine have a significant improvement in the ability to remember faces and names. It hits us right where, so to speak, the rubber hits the road. With memory, learning written information, this ingredient can help, and there's an approved health claim on it by the FDA. It's pretty good stuff.
What I found was working with my great niece on math problems, I could just go right down the thing, and for the first time in my life, I was able to come right in with the answers in my head without having to struggle through a whole bunch of stuff.
Memory loss and losing words in the middle of a sentence and not remembering where I put things. So in my mind, I'm thinking I've already got the early stages of Alzheimer's, and what I've learned since then is I had nutritional deficiency that was easily corrected, and once I have done that, taken care of that, implemented the things that Dr. Smith talks about in his book, it's amazing. I'm sane again. You know, how great is that? I can remember where I put things. I'm not losing my mind. I'm not going there.
I think this is the most important book, not just for parents. It is a book for everybody. Everyone should read it because there are so many problems now emerging so far our mental health is concerned. Just think of Alzheimer's disease, senile dementia.
Perhaps our greatest fear and frustration about getting older is losing our memory. But now you can have peace of mind because Dr. Kyl Smith in his book Brighter Mind tells us exactly how to prevent and to reverse this process in many cases using natural approaches, approaches that don't use pharmaceutical drugs, approaches that use nutritional supplements that are medically proven in the scientific literature. And I'm recommending this book to all of my patients.
Dr. Kyl Smith's approach is a nutritional one, an herbal one. It is well rooted in science and is well documented bibliographically in his book. It's for those reasons when I've utilized his protocols that I've found them to be very effective, and I hope you will find them to be the same.